Hey, welcome. Welcome to the Bow Talks, Queens and Kings podcast. It's a pleasure to have you with me today. Another fine day in paradise. Another interesting day of happenings in the world. So much actually to talk about. I'm very fascinated with world affairs. You know, just to keep an eye on what actually is happening in the world. I think it's very important that we are up to speed with, I would say, the craziness that's happening in the world at the moment, and just observing how our leaders are working through these times, because you could imagine, I think our leaders have had a pretty easy run for the last, pretty much since the end of World War II. There really hasn't been, on the Western world, there really hasn't been a lot of conflict, like serious conflict, where you really have to pull your I'm a leader hat on, where you have to really work hard. Israel is at war. It's pretty much official. They've been listen to this.
Over these last 6 days, pretty intense going on. Iran is manipulating Syria. Russia and China are manipulating Iran. They together are now manipulating Saudi Arabia. That has infected South America and Venezuela. It's also brought in North Korea. The target, Israel and the United States. To take down the United States, you don't have to shoot one bullet to take down the United States. You don't have to drop one bomb. All you have to do is tamper with our fragile economy. That's already happening. Israel is now fighting a multi-front war regarding a multiple of nations. According to the Bible, what we should see soon is some sort of massive explosion, some sort of contamination of, fallout in the city of Damascus based on Isaiah chapter 17. That should happen at any time. Ezekiel 37 and 38 should happen at any time.
Damascus.
The players of those nations that are in Ezekiel 38 are there right now. And so no wonder why people who don't know the scriptures are in fear. They're looking at the Third World War. Yes, we are. I think we're in it right now. But what is it going to escalate to? Will it go to the level of what is known as the Ezekiel battle? It's possible. Here's the thing that should get your attention. Great Bible scholars, they don't know where to place the Ezekiel 38 battle. Is it right before the rapture? Or is it right after the rapture? That's where scholars disagree. The point is this, who cares? They're talking about it just before the rapture or just after, and all of the players are assembling now in Israel and the surrounding areas? How close are we? Let's go. Speak to you. There's no doubt about it. Israel is at war. It's pretty much official. They've been
Okay, interesting video, because you could say that we are at this end times, like this prophecy of Revelations. I don't know so much about it. Don't know much about Ezekiel, but there's a large percentage of the world's population that believes in this Revelations and Armageddon, or the end of the old, the bringing in the new. So to me, hey man, look at this. What do you got? You even bought me food. Thank you kindly, fucking gentlemen. Look at this. I just got sausages and eggs, and looks like halloumi. Hell yeah! Look at that. Try to find the camera. Yeah, life is good. What a bloody gentleman. not allowed to say his name because he's shy. But yeah, I got a sausage here, some halloumi, some bread, and some cooked up eggs. What's this thing? Pumpkin. Yum. Yeah, so we're living in these times which seem to be pretty revelationary. And I believe we are living in a time where we have that things are changing very quickly. Sorry. They're changing super quickly. Just like my mic stand keeps falling off. Sorry about this. Okay, I think it is now attached to the table. It just doesn't allow me to cross my legs so well. Improvements. I'm looking forward to upgrading these facilities and having better video recording, all sorts of things. Improvements. So yeah, there's the potential that we are in these end times, and that all the plans, like the way we've been living for thousands of years, have all been aligning us to this point. So what is the point we're talking about? Like, what is going to happen? Like, there is a percentage of people that think we're all going to die, and then the good people will go to heaven and live in a heavenly world reality. And then you've got the other people that are going to hell because they didn't follow God, the right God, or to follow the right rules. So there's a lot of people out there that are wanting, in some ways, like I can't understand, like the end of the world. They're wanting the end of the world to happen so then they can go to heaven because they are the chosen ones. But for me, I believe that these times of revelations are actually talking not the end of the end of the world, and they're actually talking about the end of the old way and a new, more conscious societies happen. And you have to go through the old dark ways. So when I say dark, I mean lack of wisdom, lack of knowledge, lack of information. Like that is the dark. You're in the dark. You're not shown the truth of the world. But as we consciously evolve, more and more information becomes available to us, more wisdom, more knowledge, more understanding of our reality that we live in. And then when that happens, we can start to create these different societies, these societies that are based on love. And there will be revolution in a way, like revolution, not overthrowing, but revolution of ideas, revolution of ways of seeing. Like as we expand consciously, we also reach a point where we're a lot harder to be manipulated. We question what we're told. We also learn to see different truths. So in the past, someone may have said to you, this is a truth, and you just believe them. But now, as you are more consciously evolved, as our humanity is more evolved, you can see people are questioning and people are seeing through lies so much better and so much more easy. Like I love that interview Elon had with the BBC reporter, who I'm sure would prefer to be nowhere, would like to take himself back in time to before that interview and refuse to do it. But it's such a great example of someone who was, you could say woke, but actually not really up to speed. He believes, he was a believer of what he was told. He never fully understood it for himself. Like he was listening and believing other people's sound bites. So when he went to explain it to Elon, you could see he didn't know what he was talking about. He didn't know the truth. Like he didn't know. He was secondhand knowledge. Where, of course, Elon is probably one of the most up to speed in the world now on privacy, hate speech. How do you manage it? Because they would have been talking about that for days and days in the Twitter office. Like, how do you manage hate speech? Like, if you're seeking freedom, so you don't want to limit speech. You don't want to limit hate speech. Even if you in a truly free society, everyone is allowed to speak however they want. So, but I think you've got to, maybe you have to look at it in ways of what is the intention of that comment, rather than, like, maybe it is a truth, but we're not allowed to say it. But if someone's saying it in a way to not cause harm, but purely to educate and to share their ideas, then it should be okay. But if they're doing it to rise up violence, to set up bigotry, if it's designed in a evil light, a dark, if it's coming from a dark place, if someone is trying to incite violence, or if someone is trying to corrupt a loving system. So I would say if someone was trying to separate the human species, saying that one is better than another, then I would say that speech needs to be flagged as like hateful. But maybe you can have just a flag, and maybe you need to have, say, this appears to be hate speech because it's inciting violence against one person over another. But it's still good to be able to hear these things. You need, we can't stamp out ideas and thoughts, and because maybe there is some truth to one thing or another. Like maybe when someone says, I'm being discriminated against by these people in my country because they are doing this and this and this, like maybe that's not seen as hate speech. That's more about educating us as to what's happening. So you almost need to have different categories of what is the intention of that post, what is the intention of the tweet. Because I've seen a few TikTok videos, which I reported one because to me it was inciting violence. It was inciting the Muslim people to become violent. And for me, that is not acceptable. But this is the balance. Because ultimately, you want to have a population of people that only can hear anything. Like they're consciously able to hear any statement made by anyone else, and that they will be willing to listen to it, but not let it affect them. Like that is the ultimate, that we raise our society to be able to withstand negatively intended statements. And if you can withstand them, because you know who you are, like you've created each human as fully confident beings. No one can tell you words don't work anymore. Insults don't work anymore. They can be used as a way to rise higher. This is something that I feel that that's what we train our children to be, is to know who they are. And then you don't have to worry about hate speech, because hate speech doesn't impact anyone anymore. It's just, you understand that that person who's mouthing the hate speech is not in a good place. You understand that what they say, they're coming from a place of lack of in the dark. They're in the dark. They're low conscious vibration. They're coming from a fear state. Maybe they know no better. And as Jesus said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Like, we have to allow people to speak their words. But yeah, we can definitely have a flag. And this is something that I realized at the community, was you have your people keeping an eye on the community. So that's what, and I guess that's the reporting mechanism that all people in TikTok and Twitter can use, is they see a video that they see as intended to create hate, then they can flag it. And that system, I believe, works really well. But what TikTok and everyone else should do is they put a flag on it, but they leave it. They flag it, but they allow it, and then it's up to whoever wants to be able to listen or not. You can put a hashtag, like, I don't want hate speech. And yeah, you have someone making a decision. You have a judge and you have a tribunal, just like a normal court of law. And you trial it, each video. And you could do these trials like quickly online. Someone with a video that is deemed hate speech or is banned, they get a right of appeal. They get to prove themselves innocent, and they get to hear the reason why they've been banned. Like, you could have, and it's a 3-minute tribunal. They just make the decision. And then you have a right of appeal. Maybe you get a little bit of time to prepare your case, to state your argument that you're not producing hate speech. I think we need to, you need to incorporate the court of rule and the judgment system on free speech. But you can use the power of like Twitter spaces now. You could have tribunals in there, and we could design a system that just allowed quick processing. Because at the moment, as I saw a video the other day by a friend on TikTok, I wish I could think of his name, but he was saying that he got a video copyright or closed down for hate speech, but he pushed it. He challenged it through the Twitter and they reinstated it, and he had to go through I guess he had to prove his case, but he found the process quite it didn't work so well. It could be improved a lot more, and that's what I think, that give people the ability to respond to their video, and then at least give people the time to understand why they've been flagged for hate speech. Because at least if you know, then, and you know what is the line, where is the line, and then people can choose to go over the line or not. So I did get copyright for the video yesterday for the background noise for DJ Monique, but they didn't ban the video, which was pretty cool. So we might do that again. There's my glasses. Yeah. So that's a cool hate speech topic. I never thought I'd be talking about that, but it's definitely, how do you design free systems that don't put rules in place for social media? Like, how do you allow total freedom? Because that's what we need to strive for, and we need to build our humans so they can withstand any barrage of hate speech, any alternate opinions that might upset their world. We need to teach children how to discern truth from lies, and we need to teach children to have critical thinking. We need to teach them how to question everything. That's what I've said before, is like, a child, the one thing that you should teach every child is how to discern truth from lies, and to go through the world always questioning everything. Like, this is the modern child, the new human. We have to question everything. We have to realize that we're living in a world where it doesn't all make sense. There's better ways to do things. So by teaching our children to question and to always be striving for something better is the right way. But it's so easy for all of us. Like, we're living, this world is like a gauntlet, like the labyrinth under the city. And the path to get out into the heaven, to the light, you got minotaurs down there, and you got, like, there's always things trying to pull you off your quest to get to that place, the light. There's dead ends. There's so many different distractions. And to teach a child how to find the right path is what we need to teach children. How to find the right path where they know where they're heading in the right direction. Like, how many How many people have made the wrong decision at the wrong time based on fear? You know, they're fearful of having no money, so they go against their intuition, go against their heart, go and get a shitty job at McDonald's, work there for 3 years miserably, but they're, you know, earning their money, go home, sit and watch TV, where someone could have listened to their heart, had no money for a little bit longer, but was able to find themselves, to find their passions. And then they start painting or playing music when they've got nothing to do, and they realize they love to play the guitar. Next thing they travel all over the US playing music. You know, we have to teach people how to make the right decisions based on their hearts and their intuition, their guidance from the divine. We have to teach people to be confident enough to believe and have faith in the divine. We have to teach people how to, or kids, and adults as well, because not many people are there yet. But yeah, we have to teach people to love, to enjoy life, to share, to be caring. Because my belief is that by being in that place, that's how the universe, that's the normal state. Being in that loving, kind, angelic state. Always seeing the beauty in things. To me, that's our natural state. And we have the ability to stay there all the time. And obviously there'll be events that will pull us out. But being in that natural loving state is our natural state. And so we need to teach our people how to hold that state. That beautiful, full, overflowing state. And it's possible for everyone. This is the thing where most of us don't even realize that it's possible. I only realized it's possible when I found that state. Like when I found that spiritual place where I have my joy. I see the amazingness no matter where I'm at. Where I still have moments, days, things do still get to me, still pull me out of that joyful place, but less and less. Usually my weakness is love lost. Being in love and falling out of love, that's my Achilles heel. Beautiful women are my Achilles heel. Who want to love, but then if that love starts to disappear, then I start to I did in the past. I would panic. I'd lose my space, my who I am as a person, because I could feel that love, which I just adore. Like I love it. I love being in love, and I love just loving my opposite. Yeah, it's magical, and that's, I think, what we're here for. That's one big part of this existence, is connecting with your opposite and loving in such a way that who knows what is possible to create in that union. But to be able to hold a relationship like that, you need to have done your work. Because you've also got to offer that relationship freedom. You cannot cage each other in any way, which has been the way of our past. You know, this idea of caging someone. You marry them, or even as a boyfriend-girlfriend, you tend to, and masculine have done it to women for thousands of years. You look at how we create a cage around your woman because they're like a precious diamond. They're like you've just found this rare diamond and it's yours. And for me, like, you start to worry if someone's going to steal it. And that's when fears and things get in the way, and then deliberately collapses the relationship. The pressures, there's all these energies start to form because of that fear of loss. And for me, it's been my mother and my sister, the dearest two women in my life. They passed away when I was like 19 to 23, and so that was a very big of two women so close to me. So when I get into a relationship, I fear that. Well, I did fear that, and I think I've now passed through that because of some of the things that have been going on in my outer world for the last year. Actually, the relationships I've been in have taught me a huge amount about being able to allow your bird to fly, like a bird, the beautiful goddess, to fly away. If she wants to, she'll fly away, and she'll come back if she wants. And to me, that's true freedom, and that's where the power of a relationship begins. Allowing each other to be their freest and truest self, and not having that fear of losing each other. Because it's a very powerful feeling, because when you give yourself to someone to love, it's like you just want to hold on to that thing. You don't want to risk it falling apart, but naturally your fear will make it happen, fall apart, unless you do something about it. So relationships, having that freedom. When I talk about societies, building new societies, I also talk about restructuring the way that we live in society. And that means we have to talk about freedom of each individual, and how do those relationships, the masculine, feminine, how do they dance together in your society? And I've read a few books, and I've been thinking about it for a long, long time, because the system we have, where we're basically told we get married and then that's it. You're with that woman for the rest of your life. She's with you, and don't get me wrong, there's some people who get married for all the right reasons and find this divine union, like where that to me, that's true marriage, is finding that divine sacred union together, where there is just pure understanding and love for each other. And that's when you can really start to build and create such amazingness. You can have family, and like, if there's love in the family, it's so rewarding for the children and everyone around. And I guess that goes back to the kings and queens and the kingdoms is the same. If you have a king and a queen who are divinely connected, their children are the people of the kingdom. They will love them just like the love of their very own children. To me, that's how it should be. So we need to design or relearn how you manage your freedom of individuals in a society. Like, I'm all for marriage. I think marriage is a beautiful thing, because if you meet your one and you realize that they're ones, then you can it's nice to celebrate that. So you celebrate it by marriage. You have a ceremony and you invite all your friends and family and you have a good party and it's like known. It's like, I celebrate this experience. How lucky am I? How amazing am I? How grateful and what joy and amazingness will it bring to the community? So yeah, let's celebrate it. Sorry, I just realized there was a hum in the background. For some reason. I wonder what causes hum. The mic? Hello. Still a little bit there. I just have to talk closer to the mic. Yeah, so how do we design relationships in a new societal world? I do believe that you've got to have that freedom, and that's something that men have to really learn. That women you can't lock them down. You can't put a cage around them. And that presents some problems. Because when you understand women, they're like wild birds. Like if you think about how a cat is, you can't cage a cat. Cat's probably the best example of an animal to emulate a woman. You can't cage it. It will do what it wants when it wants. Right? You try and cage it, it will repel itself against you. And I believe women are the same. There's obviously some women that have higher tolerances of a cage than others, especially women in the Western world. Right? Women in the Western world have been empowered, very individual. And I'd almost say that they may have gone too far at the other end of the spectrum. Like a lot of Western women now embrace they're very masculine. You know, they were very feminine, and then they were held down. And then once the laws changed and women were allowed to be who they want to be, then they sort of went into the masculine more. And at the same time, men went into the feminine. So you have this balance out of balance now at the moment, because you have these masculine powered women wanting to find their mate, but that mate needs to be more masculine. They're looking for masculine men who are also spiritual, who have found their power, but then they also need to drop that masculine energy, because if she's showing all this masculine energy and then it's this masculine energy headbutts itself. You need the woman to submit in a way that masculine energy and allow that for the man, and finding that balance, and then you get that harmony of the opposites balancing. And I think what's happened also is that these very masculine women have met feminine men, because somehow that balanced. Well, it did balance. You got negative and positive coming together to balance, but it's abnormal. It's not normal. And so 1 or 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, the woman is very unsatisfied, and so is the man. The man's very unsatisfied as well. the dynamics are all back at the front, and it fails. And everyone's unhappy, and everyone goes and blames each other for what happened. I've seen it in my relationships where I guess I was more feminine in the past, and finding my masculine, finding my spirituality, finding my confidence in myself, and being in different relationships where having quite masculine women, like not physically masculine, but masculine in the way they don't like being told what to do. Masculine in the way that they don't want to listen. Because they have this energy of, don't tell me what to do because I need to prove. And this is an ego thing happening. You're getting years and years of holding a woman down, that hundreds of years, right? Hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe thousands of women being held down and not being able to express themselves, to express their femininity, at least. And you look at someone like Margaret Thatcher, she's very masculine. She had balls. That was the joke. Because she was woman, but she hadn't embraced her feminine. She had a husband who you never heard from. He was like, she was running the country. Her husband was at home making the tea. Like, there was a complete reversal. And so that reversal is what's happened with a lot of women in today's society. And now they're not willing for a masculine man to come and they don't want to listen. Not all the time. Don't get me wrong. Not generalize. Try not to generalize, but I'm saying there's an energy towards not liking being told what to do. But if a woman is to accept that her masculine partner is the masculine energy, just allow that. You don't need to worry. Just do what, like, if the masculine feels there's a need to make a decision, allow that. Trust in his judgment. That's what I see is these women that are becoming very spiritual, but still haven't dropped their masculine. They're not allowing that masculine to come in, their partners, because they've had a lot of wounding, a lot of masculine wounding, and that, of course, you got all these men from so many generations who got no freaking idea about how to be, how to treat a woman. We had no information. So you got all these women that are damaged from their fathers or their uncles, or sexually abused, or like so much damage. And then they've had the women 30 years, which they've just totally transformed and grown and like done amazing things. But they've had to take up that masculine energy, like Margaret Thatcher. And so it's time now for for spiritual women to just drop that down a bit. Embrace their feminine. Embrace their bodies. Explore allow that freedom. We need those women to be free and to experience the world however they need to become their higher selves. And during that process, that exploration, like, you're together, but you don't belong, like, you've just got to know that there's You come together, and if you're meant to stay together, you'll stay together. If you come together and it's temporary for whatever reason, there's lessons learned, things learned, but you just allow that freedom to fly away. It's certainly, to reach that point is very challenging. To me, it's been very challenging. And I think it's to do with that fear of loss, my loved one, my I don't want to let my precious go. And I think, I see that in the world. I see that around other couples. I understand that. It's like if you've got a beautiful woman on your side, like I see how men behave when they've got their women beside them and there's other guys around. It's like this. You've just got to be free. Trust in the process. Trust that life is working out the way it is. And like if your partner meets somebody else and they fall in love with them, we need to just accept that. Don't see yourself as failing or anything. Just say, well, that my partner has been attracted for whatever reason. That's her journey. And knowing that there'll be more people. Like this is the flow of life. Like if you're meant to stay together, you will stay together. But if you don't, then that's fine. And this allows this freedom of movement and freedom to find your true love as well. Because like I'm very big on being in a relationship and going fully into it, like full love, full speed ahead. Because I feel that there's no point for one wasting time, and you can find out pretty quickly if it's going to work or not. Why not find out? But the problem, the difficulty is when you go in very hard like that, is there's a lot of love. And so if you've realized 4 months in or 2 months in that it's probably not going to work, but there's so much love there, that's the challenge. It's like, how do you walk away in love? And so you have to learn on our journey. But for me, the thing that I think for my mental, being able to let someone go, and I don't get me wrong, I'm not all there yet. It's still a challenge for me to think of losing someone I love so much, because it's just time for the journey to end. Like I speak it, and I know that's the truth. That it's cool. Like just let it all flow. But when you're in it, it seems like it's a lot more full on, and it is more full on. But I would rather, I would rather have loved and lost than to have never loved before. Something like that. Like, just throw yourselves in. But first you have to find that love for yourself. Like, to have a true loving relationship, you have to not be requiring anything from anybody. Like, finding that love for yourself is the most important thing. Finding that love to be happy on your own, even for the rest of your life. Like, being happy and enjoy in celebration of the day, looking forward to the day. If you can be in that place, in that loving space on your own, you don't need anything else. You don't need much. Then when a relationship comes along, you can have it or leave it or take it. But of course you're going to take it, because to me it's like someone offering you beautiful grapes. Of course you're going to eat them. You take it. It's a bonus. But you don't need them. You don't need the grapes. I don't need the relationship, but I really like being in love. But I'm not going to allow that love to impact the love that I have for myself. And having the strength to be able to fall in love so deeply, but still be able to say goodbye. Like, that's, for me, that's been my journey to get to that point. And I actually think I've reached it. I'll let you know my next relationship. But yeah, so holding, like, how do we do freedom in relationships and societies? There's a very good book called From Dusk Till Dawn, which I would like to read again, by a guy who used to be on the podcast, Joe Rogan podcast. And he went around and looked at all the different societies and how they structured their mating rituals. What was their system? Did they get married? What age did they get married? How did they structure it to make the best society? And like, there was one that comes to mind is I think it was the Chinese, where they had all the kids, like, at a certain time of year, they all just like went and lived in one big building, and they were allowed to get it on, party, have sex, do all sorts of things. And then the idea was that they just naturally found their mates. It allowed them to play, and they found who they were attracted to. And they even got to have sex, and they even got to fool around before, and then they would find their mate, and they had like one of the lowest divorce rates of any society. Yeah, who knows? But these are all the questions I have about how I want to know more about traditions and customs of ancient societies. I feel like I know so little. Like, how did the Babylonians, what were their celebrations? Did they have a birth? Did they celebrate a birthday? Did they have a birthday party like we do for every time you're born? What celebrations did they celebrate? The summer solstice? Did they celebrate the king's birthday? Guaranteed. What was the significance of celebrating the king's birthday? When was the king's birthdays? What, like all these, the Egyptians? No, nothing. Very hard to know. I keep feeling that information has been hidden from us and subverted. Like, we've been given half truths about our true history, and we're just all confused. I see it. I hear it in, like, when you listen to Egyptian archaeologists, even anyone talking about the Babylonians, and like you can see they don't fully understand what was happening there, and they're sort of grasping at straws to find the answer. And I guess until you really can't explain those hieroglyphs and their meanings. And I would say the same with like the Sumerian texts as well. Like, who interpreted them? Who interpreted the texts to say that they interpreted them the right way. You really need to have someone who was there, who wrote the text, that understands the society. Yeah, like, how do you fully understand that society without being there? Like books, texts, hieroglyphs, they all fall short. Words fall short. We need to find someone who wants to channel, who can channel these people and get their story about how they lived. And well, yeah, how did they have? Did they have more than one wife? Did the men have more than one wife? There's some societies that have and that still exist. The woman had 2 husbands. Like even the Tibetans, some women will marry both brothers, and supposedly it's fairly common. I never heard of that before. And that is a possibility. That's something that's been on my mind about the ancients. It was like, just the way everything we know is always seems to be backwards. And maybe the ultimate system, we talk about like societies, is the ultimate natural system is to have a queen with multiple husbands. Like with multiple kings. Don't know. Fascinating. Because I do know the Merovingians had 4 wives. And then you also, like the sultans, they had a lot of wives. I don't think they were considered queens though. Yeah, like I think they were more like prostitutes, or they lived in a harem. I don't know if they were used for. But yeah, the Merovingians had four queens, and I find that interesting because the 4 queens, like the card deck, and you got the 4 queens and 1 king. What are they telling us? And then you got your jokers and your, like, there's clues through history. And so the Merovingians, I know that there was one king who had four sons from 4 wives, and the firstborn son was inherited, split the kingdom in 4, a quarter each, and each son had a kingdom. Like, maybe this is using the natural system, because then what happens is you have the strongest king of those 4. His kingdom will grow the best and become the strongest. And eventually maybe the other 3 submit. Or maybe there is a battle, but maybe the battle you don't lose too many people. I don't know. But there's this natural flow of accession, and you get the best kings. Ideally. This is where I guess if the system's right, you don't get bad kings. So you look at the Israelites, they had 4 wives. Jacob, Joshua. I don't remember the original guy from the. Should I look it up? But yeah, he had 4 wives, which is very interesting because the story goes that, and he would have been he was a king who had 4 wives. And the interesting thing is that 2 wives were sisters. Let me find this. The 12 tribes of Israel. Very interesting story that also plays a very big role in our current world. And I'm only just getting into it because it's quite difficult to know truth from bullshit, because it was a long time ago, and it was also, I believe, a lot of that history has been twisted. So, but yeah, there were 12 tribes of Israel. You could call them Jews. You could call them Caucasian from the Caucasus Mountains, or maybe they were Egyptian, but they were in Jerusalem. 12 tribes that came together and were together for quite some time. Developed a very complex system of religion and worship and priests, caste. The numbers, they say, maybe 500,000 people. I don't have his name. Anyway, I think it's Jacob. And so they had two sisters, and then there was another two sisters who were it says the handmaidens of the two sister princesses. So he had 4 women, 4 queens, but 2 of them he chose because the other 2 were barren or unable to have children. He chose the handmaidens to have children, which doesn't make sense to me. They would have been princesses, but it's just like, why has history twisted them to be handmaidens? Good question. So what happened was those 12 tribes split, and 10 tribes went off into the wilderness. But that, to me, those tribes became the Europeans of modern day. The Pharisees, the Tuatha De Dan, tribe of Dan, was in Ireland. This is one of the tribes. Like the Danites left their name on all over Europe. And so the official story is that the 10 tribes were defeated or went into Ethiopia or Africa or went to all these strange places. And maybe that was true. Maybe some of them went there. But the majority of the lost tribes were all through Europe. Possibly Ethiopia, but northern Africa. They went all the way around. And so they were never lost. And I could do a whole podcast on this, which I will, maybe tomorrow. But I guess the point is you have your four wives. So, 4-queen system. I'm asking, right? Maybe it's a queen and 4 kings. Maybe they just twisted it around. I did think about that. Like if you're designing societal systems, copy the bees, okay? So the bees, that is queen for the whole life of the hive, I believe. Maybe they survive 3 or 4 years and then die. A new one gets born. But the hives do split. Occasionally a queen will turn up and they split off. Like is that how our system should be too? And what you do is you have these drones, which is the masculines, the males. They don't really do much in the hive. But when it's time to impregnate the queen, all the drones from all over the area come together in a swarm, and the queen flies there, and it's up to the best drone to catch the queen. And she flies around like crazy, like going super fast. Zzz, and it's up to a drone to catch her. And that drone catches her and impregnates her, and his sperm is saved inside her, and she uses his sperm to impregnate, to create the hive for her whole life, I believe. What the hell? So maybe that's the natural system. Maybe the best man gets the queen, and the best man is the warrior who's got all the attributes of a king. You know, even me, I don't want to hear that. I was like, no, I want it to be the king and then have many queens. That's my natural bias, but maybe it's the other way around. Maybe that was how it was. I know if you look at the bonobo chimps, because you've got chimpanzees and bonobo, and the bonobos have a different culture, because it's where the chimps are patriarchal. So that their whole behavior and mannerisms and the way the society is structured is different. Like the matriarchal bonobos, they will actually have sex with all the male chimps, and they use it as a form of punishment. That if a female chimp is unhappy with the behavior of one of them, she refuses sex, and that's how she it's a reward system for the boys. To be honest, that is a very real energy that exists in human populations. Like if all the woman for a successful relationship is for the woman to adore the masculine, adore him always, majority, just adore. Like you can see when your partner adores you. Like that's all the man wants, and that means that adoration means making effort to make love together, to cuddle or to kiss or to just have those moments of connection. Like you can tell if a woman wants you or if she's just sort of doing it because she's expected to. Like that is the ultimate. That's what a woman needs to create for her man. But if she does that, like she can do that to multiple men. Right? It doesn't have to be just one, and that presents lots of issues for the majority of masculinity, being like sharing your woman. I mean, it's fascinating with some of the scenes that are on at the moment, like with swinging, and there's a lot of people pushing those boundaries, sharing their man, their woman. I don't know. I'm not, because I'm a very big believer in finding your one, finding the one that you can really just like spend your life getting to know, and seeing what there is. How deep does love and tantra, and how deep does all that go? You don't know until you try, and I have a feeling that it's when you find the right partner, it can be, it's transformative, it's enlightening, and so to me that's my ultimate goal is, and I think it's our natural state that marriage, finding your divine union, is part of this journey. But with that divine union, you've got to have freedom. Right? It's up to your partner what they want to do with that freedom. And if you understand each other, then there's no way that someone's going to try and hurt you, or it's always going to be for the betterment of the relationship. Yeah, it's a really interesting topic to see different societal structuring around relationships between the masculine and feminine. And nice, look at that. It's an hour and 7 minutes. Cool. Well, this is sort of the structure that I want to do for the podcast, is just general talk. I got a lot to share, and lots of thoughts and ideas, and I want to change the world, and I want to meet amazing people, and I want to share amazingness with everyone. So this has been my solution. It's like, this is what I have to do, is create a podcast, get out there and start talking, because I believe for us to reconnect into communities again is the way forward, is the future, is the way that we heal humanity. We build these sustainable villages that are fully sustainable. Like you build everything, you make everything there, everything you need. That's the ultimate goal, is everything you need is made there. The structure that brings the best out in its humans, its population. And we have all that wisdom now. It's all there. And we have spiritual people that will want to make this happen and participate. We have amazingly creative and dynamic people all waiting for this to complete this dream as well. And yeah, then we build them. We show how it's done. And then we build them everywhere. We the structure, we can cookie cutter. Once you get the design right, once you get the society right, then you expand. And you, just like the bees, you have this one hive, you build another queen and king, and then they go off and they build their kingdom. Just like the bees, and then you build another king and queen, and they just multiply. But those kings and queens have been in the community, and maybe they met in the community, and so you train them in the skills of managing or reigning over a kingdom. And like that's how you start the kingdom. You start with a village. And if it's successful, it will just grow out. Like more and more people will want to be involved naturally. It's a natural system. You create this amazing village, town center, where people can get things and come in and have a coffee and go and do some sound healing and yoga and just do all these things. It becomes a central hub. And your kingdom will naturally grow because you've got the right people, you've got the right resources, you've got the right land, you've got the right everything. And you've got the right society design with the right intention. And suddenly you have flowering and you have expansion of these sustainable villages all over the world, and they become central hubs and healing people and learning how to build kingdoms. Like let's change our idea on what a kingdom is, because our story that we've been told is these kingdoms just keep fighting and destroying each other. Why does that have to be the case? We are more evolved than that, and we're becoming more and more involved every day. And there's a point where evolved people no longer want to fight, no longer want war, and there's ways to negotiate. Yeah, smart people, wise people coming together can work it out, and there must be better ways to negotiate. Like let's go on a camping trip together. Let's go catch some fish. Let's go snorkeling. Let's really get to know each other and the problems that are arising, and let's find a solution.